The Baltimore Ravens are trying to win the Super Bowl next year, and in order to do so, they're going to have to improve the team. The best way to do that is through the NFL draft. Let's talk about the Ravens' biggest needs in this upcoming NFL draft. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TCB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I'll put a brand new video. Now, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, trying to hit it before this upcoming NFL season starts. We just hit 4,400, looking to get to 4,500 soon. So thank you all so much for that. And before I even get into this video, I have a question for you guys. I put it out in the community, put it out on Twitter. But as you can see, we've got this lovely Lamar Jackson signed jersey behind me, but there's also nothing behind me. This entire wall is completely blank, and I need ideas on what exactly I should put there. I could put another signed jersey. I could get memorabilia. I could get a whiteboard to draw out concepts. Please let me know. What are good ideas? A lot of people are liking the whiteboard idea, but please let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on that, as well as your thoughts on the Ravens' biggest draft needs. But now, let's get to it. So first off, when I look at draft needs, what the Baltimore Ravens need to do in the draft, we have to recognize and remember, this is the Baltimore Ravens. This is Eric DeCosta. When they go into this draft, they're not looking at it as we're drafting this position, then this position, then this position. No, BPA, best player available. And honestly, I'd even go a step further and say BPA ET, best player available every time. That's the Ravens draft philosophy. It's always been, and they've done a very good job doing it. So when we say, oh, these are the biggest needs, that's not us saying, oh, hey, I think it's wide receiver, but that means they should only draft a receiver. No. If a safety falls and is a top tier player, right, the Ravens are going to draft him. If a linebacker falls, they're going to draft him. If an edge rusher falls, they're going to draft him. The only position I don't see the Baltimore Ravens drafting in the first round is obviously quarterback, because we have Lamar Jackson. He's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. So other than that, best player available is the strategy, but they're still going to target players, especially in later rounds. And if there is a decision to be made about, oh, should we go which position? That is what we're talking about in today's video. So the Ravens have a couple of positions that I think are of need, and I'm going to rank them. But positions of need, I think, are going to be things like wide receiver, I almost said quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, pass rusher, and offensive line. Offensive line, both left tackle and left guard could be needs depending on what we do in free agency. Pass rusher, we could always use more pass rush, right? We need that star pass rusher. We don't know if we have it in Adafe yet. We also only have Adafe for one more year. And we have Ojabo for a couple more years, but he hasn't been, a dominant pass rusher like we potentially hoped. Wide receiver, right? We still have Bateman under contract. We still have Zay Flowers under contract, but those are really the only two prominent wide receivers for the Ravens. And then offensive line, like I brought up, Ronnie Stanley, Patrick McCarry, left tackle, left guard. They're question marks going into the year. So all of those, I think, are potentially needs. Now, when we're ranking them, when I'm talking about positions and the biggest need, we have to understand that left guard, you're not drafting that in the first round. The guard position is, you don't need to draft somebody in the second round. It's not something that you need really ever in the first round. It's very rare that an offensive lineman that's a guard is drafted in the first round. It does happen. Guys like Quentin Nelson and such, Elijah Vera Tucker, but the Jets wanted him to be a tackle. He didn't necessarily work out. So I don't think I'm putting offensive line as the biggest need, but a part of that other reason is we can re-sign Ronnie. We can re-sign Patrick McCarry, and we do have a left guard competition. Andrew Voorhees played well when he played for Patrick McCarry late in the season. Remember, Patrick McCarry had that game where he was sick with a couple weeks left to go in the year. So, he's, in his rookie year, pseudo rookie year, I guess, Andrew Voorhees looked fine. He can play left guard if we do need it. But getting backups, getting developmental players in the offensive line, I think would be really smart, as well as potentially drafting a round 2 tackle, a round 3 tackle where, hey, if we re-sign Ronnie for 1 year or 2 years, they sit behind him, they learn. And even if they can't develop into that starting tackle, like a Falele, struggled to do, hey, sub him in at guard, have him work out there. And Falele developed very well throughout the year, ended up being an okay guard when we got to the postseason, and it really his first full year starting. So I do like offensive line, but I don't think that's the most important. The next, quote unquote, least important for me would be the cornerback position. And I say that with pause because I do think it is a need. I think it is a real need. The Ravens corners next year, right? Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins. Now, Marlon is expected to be back. He has 2 more years on his contract. He's a major cap hit, so it's expected for, possibly an extension or a restructure in order to make the, contract more beneficial to the team. But overall, those are 2 very good corners. Marlon, a great slot corner. Nate Wiggins is developing into and was a very good outside cornerback, especially for someone who was, 20 years old when the season started. So remember, Nate Wiggins is probably still younger than a lot of the corners coming out in this class. But because we have those 2 good players, 2 very good players, I don't see us being like, okay, we need that third corner. Do we need a third corner? Yes, but not as much as I think we need some of these other positions. And when you're looking at veteran corners, you can get a veteran outside corner that can play decently, right? We saw Trey White. Trey White wasn't even the cream of the crop when it comes to free agent corners in the offseason, right? The Ravens signed him mid-season because he had been cut, and he came in and he was better than Brandon Stevens. He was actually good for the Ravens, which was surprising, but he was good. Now, he did have that unfortunate pass interference called on him, but that's not his fault that they made a bad call. It happens every once in a while. Like Trey White looked good. You can sign a veteran corner for relatively cheap, and they're going to be much more impactful than a day 2 rookie, a day 3, rookie corner. The Ravens can sign someone. So unless it's a first-round corner, they're probably not going to be starting and making impact plays. So I don't think it's as big of a need to target in this draft. And last year, first round, we did take Nate Wiggins. We also took TJ Tampa. So not as big of a need. My next one, I'm going with edge rusher as the second most important position for the Baltimore Ravens to target. And the reason I'm saying this is I talked about Khalil Mack yesterday, but the Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons, maybe the biggest reason why they have struggled in the playoffs is their inability to shift momentum. I think that's a drastically underrated part of the NFL's game. It is a real thing. And when you look at when the Ravens are playing, they're not getting these huge swing plays. They may get a stop, right? But it's on an incompletion. They may get a stop and it's just, the other team had a holding call, which are still good. But we need a guy that can come in and wreck a drive, right? Get a strip sack, force a turnover, because we can't do it. We haven't done it. The last Ravens turnover that they forced in the playoffs, I believe, was in 2021 against the Tennessee Titans. And I think it was a Marcus Peters interception. Marcus Peters hasn't been on the team for years. And this was the last guy to get a turnover for us in the playoffs. We need someone that can get turnovers. Edge rusher is a great way to get it. And I think drafting either a first round, second round, or even third round pass rusher has the potential to be a player right away. Again, that doesn't mean we have to draft it first round. If the right guy's not available, we won't draft him. But I think getting a star edge rusher or a developmental edge rusher that can play a little bit would be very valuable to this team, because we do have some question marks on, the edge rushers, who we're bringing back, who we're keeping. We have question marks about Odafe Owe, who did have a step up year. Get another guy, get him in the building. Even if it's a guy like Tavius Robinson, who we drafted day 3, Tavius Robinson in year 2 last year, very good run stuffer. We saw it in the playoffs. Tackled Josh Allen. He had 2 stuffs in the hole. He was the best run defender on the Ravens defense in that game against the Bills. So you can draft him day 3, and they can still play early on if they have the size and they have the athleticism. They might not be drafted and be, a 15-sack guy. We're probably not getting in the draft, but I would still love to draft another pass rusher. We also do have Adisa Isaac. I'd love to see what David Ojabo can do, but so far we haven't seen a lot from either. But finally, the most important position for the Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion, wide receiver. And I think I have a different opinion from the general Ravens consensus. You guys can let me know if I'm right or wrong about this, but I'm not necessarily of the camp that we have to get a deep threat. Would a deep threat benefit the team? Yeah. Anybody can benefit a team, right? If they do a specific role really well. But in my opinion, that's not the Ravens game, right? They're not really a big time deep throw team. And they still were successful at it with Rashad Bateman as the deep ball guy. Now, he's not a great ball tracker. We know this. But in that 30 to 40 yard range, he was pretty good last year. We saw he had the big touch or almost touchdown. I wish it was a touchdown. We didn't score a touchdown on the drive, but he got the big post route that got us to the 1 yard line. We saw Lamar hit about a 25-yard pass to Isaiah Likely down the field. Like this Ravens offense is explosive, but it's not that explosive. But I don't necessarily think we need it to be, oh, look, Lamar had, a 75-yard passing touchdown deep down the field. Would that be great? Yes. But I'd prefer to get a chain mover, a big body, physical wide receiver, not necessarily a jump ball receiver. You don't have to call him that, but a receiver that Lamar can trust, right? The way that he trusts Isaiah Likely, the way that he trusts Mark Andrews, where he knows on third down, that's his go-to guy. And Rashad Bateman's done a good job at that. Zay Flowers has done a decent job at that, but we need a third one, right? We need someone on third down, 3rd and 12, right? Teams can't drop back in base defense because we don't have a good third wide receiver. And I apologize to Nelson Aguilar. I apologize to Tyler Wallace, but I do not think at this point in their careers, they're at that point. And both of those guys who I named, who are wide receivers 3 and 4 this year, they're not on the roster. Like, they're free agents. We could bring them back, but I think we need to draft somebody that can be a good pass catcher. They don't have to be we don't have to draft Jamar Chase. We don't have to draft Justin Jefferson. But if you can draft yourself, right, a good wide receiver 2, right, that can maybe develop into a wide receiver 1, that would be fantastic. Because put them with Bate, put them with Zay, and the Ravens would all of a sudden have a great dominant passing game from the wide receiver position. Because even though Lamar had the best passing year of his career, even though Zay Flowers had probably the best wide receiver year of any Raven ever, I was still worried when we were having to pass the ball late in games, not necessarily because, Lamar can't pass, they can't get open, but more that, like, if Lamar does hit the third guy, are they going to catch it? And that shouldn't be a problem. Like, that shouldn't be something we're worried about. But it's been a worry. The last, 5 years of his career, Lamar's now got a good one. He's got a good 2, right? Like, first and second option. Zay and Bate. He can trust those guys. But are we trusting Nelson Aguilar? I don't know. I'm maybe trusting Tylen Wallace to catch the ball. I don't know how much I'm trusting him to get open. Like, I love Tylen in the screen game. I want to re-sign Tylen. But I want to get, maybe a day 2 wide receiver that can come in, compete, and be an offense where it's similar to the Chicago Bears wide receivers, right? DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. They can all, kind of stretch the field. They can all get open over the middle. They can all make contested catches. If the Ravens get a third wide receiver, they're all going to be able to do similar things, but also still have their niche, right? Zay's great after the catch. Bates a fantastic route runner. Get another guy that's a good, difficult catch, a physical big body wide receiver, an Anquan Bolden type. And that would be a perfect trio, in my opinion. Those are my takes. Those are my biggest draft needs for the Baltimore Ravens. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Also, again, let me know, what do I put here? I mean, this whole wall goes all the way over there. So let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe, trying to hit 5,000 subscribers again. Thank you all so much for supporting. Make sure to come back tomorrow to see next video. And also, if you're interested in mock drafts, every Monday, new mock draft. Thank you all so much. I'll see all of you again tomorrow.